What is good, YouTube? This is your boy, Aaron.
It's Brian.
This is the Courtside View Podcast, and we are back today, and I want to start it off with another episode of How to Save the NBA. Now, 3 episodes in, we're on episode 4. I talked about divisions the first episode. I talked about the three-point shot the second episode. And then I talked about college basketball in the third episode. Go check out those videos, by the way. Definitely good insight, good analysis. This episode, I want to talk about fixing the NBA schedule.
Okay.
Because there's just a lot of things that just frustrates me when it comes to the scheduling of the NBA every single year. The fact that we see the top teams play each other on League Pass when that should never be the case. They should always be playing on prime time. And division games not being spread out throughout the year. So I have a list. Of things that I want the NBA to do when it comes to fixing the schedule. Let me find it real quick. If it'll let me. All right. Damn, I don't have it on me. All right, I'll try to remember. So for the first one, I want to do something about division games. I already mentioned a little bit, but we have to spread out these division games. Like, there is no reason why a divisional opponent, 2 divisional teams going up against one another are done playing one another by December. Like, 4 division games and you're done by December? How does that make any sense? It should be spread out throughout the season where you play your divisional opponent. You play them one game in like November or December. You play them one game in like January or February. You play one game in March and you play them one game in April. Spread it out. Up the stakes. Because at the end of the season, when playoff implications and stuff like that, it's important to play your divisional opponents, play your divisional games because you're trying to make rivalries, because normally division opponents, you don't like each other. You know each other very well. So I would spread the divisional games out. And another thing I would do is that every team, when you're playing your divisional opponent, you get one primetime game. You get at least one primetime game. Just like with the NFL, you know how like you have Thursday night, you have Monday night, you have Sunday night. Normally, a lot of times you're playing your divisional opponent. Well, I want to do that in the NBA where no matter how bad you are, you could be the Washington Wizards. You get one primetime game against your divisional opponent. It's mandatory because if we're trying to grow the game, we have to show every team, and we have to do it in a way that would at least make the game somewhat interesting. I believe division games is the way to go. One primetime game against your divisional opponent makes the most sense. It could be whoever it is in your division. It doesn't really matter. But at least one game is mandatory because there are some teams that don't see any primetime games like the Washington Wizards in previous years, like other teams like the Orlando Magic. You might see them on NBA TV, but that's the best you'll get. But then they're on League Pass for the majority of the year. I believe that in order to grow the game, in order to get these young players a lot more notice, give them one primetime game at least. So that's one of the things I'm going to do. Another thing that I want to do, these names: LeBron, Steph, KD, Giannis, Ja Morant, Victor Wembanyama, Anthony Edwards, Luka Doncic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jason Tatum. These names, we have to prioritize these players on their teams for primetime games. So what I mean by that is these superstars, these are the faces of the league. We need to make sure that any one of these players, any one of these names are on primetime television. We have to prioritize those names. Now, the Knicks are very important, obviously. The Orlando Magic are coming. But those are the marquee names. Those are the faces of the league. And we have to make sure that we push all those players, that we push all the faces so that the public will see them more. The public will know that, oh, that's Ja Morant. Oh, I know who that is. Even a casual fan can spot this player. We need to market these players more and more, and I believe those are the faces of the league. In my opinion, we have to prioritize them if we want to grow the game. What else did I say? Give me 1 second.
Very interesting points there.
Yeah. So far, how you think about that?
I do like the prime time game idea. As far as you said they need those stars you named should be on prime time. Aren't they mostly all, except like maybe Giannis? You really don't see.
They kind of are, but I feel like they're not going above and beyond to like really prioritize marketing those players. Those are the faces of the league, and like a Ja Morant, I feel like he should be on TV even more. I don't think he's on TV enough.
I agree on.
You mentioned Giannis. I don't think he's on TV enough. And that's the problem, is that you have these very talented players and they're not on TV enough. Like, they should be on TV, I wouldn't say every week, but like they should be on TV a lot. And that's just not the case. And Oklahoma City, for example, like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, how are you the projected number 1 seed in the Western Conference coming into the season and you're not on Christmas? That just makes no sense to me. Like, how is that possible where you're the projected number 1 seed, the Celtics and the Oklahoma City Thunder are the projected number 1 seeds coming into the season for their conferences, and they're not even – I mean, the Celtics they're always on primetime television, but Oklahoma City is not. That's just boneheaded mistake. And another thing reminds me, if you're the projected number 1 seed coming into the NBA for your conference – you're going to play on primetime in every major day in the NBA. So, like Martin Luther King Day, you're going to play on primetime. Christmas, you're going to play on primetime. Cinco de Mayo, I guess, you can play on primetime. Like, all the major days in the NBA, you're going to play on primetime. And then Oklahoma City and Boston, they were both the projected number 1 seeds coming into the season for the conferences. They have to play each other on primetime. Like, there's no league pass like they're doing it right now this year, coming up in the next week or two. Both games are going to be played on primetime, ESPN and TNT. There is no league pass because we have to show people the best of the best. We cannot just rob people of not seeing Shai versus Tatum. Like, we're trying to market these teams. And how do you market these teams? Show them on national television. Show them on ABC. Show them on ESPN. Show them on TNT. And they don't do that all the time. And so I think that's all I have for right now that I can remember. If I remember anything else, then I'll, matter of fact, let me make sure. I actually have the list right here. Give me 1 second. Yeah. So that's it. That's all the stuff I had on my list. How you feel about that? How do you feel about all the things that I listed on for fixing the schedule?
I mean, I think these things would help bring more awareness to the players and teams and stuff. But at the end of the day, I don't know what exactly to do. I feel like the league can try a bunch of stuff, but at the end of the day, I just think some people don't like basketball as much as they used to. And could that be due to the game changing into more 3-point centric offenses and all of that stuff? Possibly. Is it also because of the streaming issues? Absolutely. But I really think a lot of this stuff you can put on the media because they spend millions and millions of years just on marketing alone. And It doesn't seem like the marketing is very effective. For example, the Cavaliers are the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference.
Yep.
And by a decent margin, they got some games on the Celtics.
They do.
Why am I hearing about Jimmy Butler trying to get traded from the 6-7 seed Heat when we got the Cavaliers still being the top team? Actually, they have the best. Do they have the best record or OKC?
I think they have the best.
They have the best record in the league.
Yeah, they do.
A bunch of young, talented players, good coaching, and I'm hearing about Jimmy Butler possibly getting traded from the Heat. Who cares?
Nah,
well,
all right. Jimmy Butler is. He's a significant player.
He is. But this what I'm talking about. It seems like the only thing you want to cover is drama.
It's stuff not on the not on pertaining to the court. Yes. Like, it's just like they only care about free agency, trade rumors.
Yeah. And it's just like it's getting out of hand at this point. Like, I like Jimmy Butler. He's a good player and all. And But then Pat Riley's coming out and saying stuff like it's a whole bunch of foolishness, man. Until the trade is announced, can we just please stop the speculation? Please and thank you. But also, it's just like, I don't know, the media takes a lot of blame in this one. I'm gonna be honest, because it's times like, and you know what's crazy? They put the more basketball focus, like the actual game. They put that on the later shows on like ESPN. I'm up at late, like 12 o'clock, watching ESPN. I said, why couldn't they show this before? Mm-hmm. This is good content. Why I got to stay up till the ungodly hours of the night to get good basketball content? Mm-hmm. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, well.
And then people all surprised, like why am I just hearing? Why do I have to see a social media post to know that Wembanyama has been going crazy these past 10 or so games? Like, most people like, dang, I didn't know Wembanyama was doing that. That's the problem.
Under the radar.
Exactly. Like, Wembanyama, y'all literally was touting him as an alien. He's going to be the next face of the league. He's going to take over the league. Then when he's starting to take over the league, they ain't talking about it.
Nah, they not. And then when he gets, like, that notoriety, like, oh, my God, he did a self alley-oop, you see somebody hating on him. You see Stephen A. hating on him. So it's just stuff like that where it's hard to grow the game.
Could do that. He just needs, like, come on, what are we doing
here? Yeah. It's just bad, man. It's just bad. The coverage of the game is just bad. Like, there's no appreciation of it.
And the commentary has been getting worse. It's like very few commentator teams that's like, okay, they call good games, but then all the good players, like my guy that do the Hornets games, he only does the Hornets games. But I mean, obviously that's like his market. But still, we need better commentary, because like I'm tired of hearing. Does Chris Webber still commentate?
No.
Okay,
no.
Good. They got him up out of here.
Yeah, they definitely got him out of here.
Like Reggie Miller, he still does it?
Yeah.
Reggie Miller, he's born. Like, like he doesn't provide much of anything.
Mm-hmm.
Doris Burke ain't great either. She's all right, I guess. And then the referees are out of control.
You know who's a really good commentator that does? He does the Nets game and he does like football, but he doesn't. He kind of does like nationally televised games, but not all the time. It's Ian Eagle.
Yeah, Ian Eagle.
And his son.
Yeah,
his son. Both of them are great. Mm-hmm. Like both of them, they did the Christmas games for football. They were fantastic. Yeah. He's always been fantastic. He does great with NFL, NBA, college basketball as well. I would love to see more of him on ESPN, on TNT, and his son as well, because they're phenomenal. Like they really just bring out the best of basketball. They really just sort of just showcase just some of the emotion that's on the court, and I just love hearing his commentary. It's a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, he's good. And also like the halftime shows, they don't even be talking about like what example was that? I don't know what game it was. I think it was the Sixers game, and the Sixers and
Celtics.
Yeah,
Christmas game.
They halftime show. They talk about which players is better than. I'm like, what talk about the game?
Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Like, I remember that. They showed a graphic of Michael Jordan, and Stephen A. was like, he's not better than Michale Jordan.
Like, come, why are we talking about Michael Jordan when it's the Celtics and Sixers playing? Like, especially when the Sixers was on the verge of ups and they did actually beat the Celtics that. But like, come on, this is what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. We got the wrong people on TV just because they're a popular face.
They're trying to save money, so that what they're doing is they putting all the same people on different platforms for the network.
That's not how that works, man. There's specialties for a reason. Mm-hmm. These dudes are talk show hosts. They are not analysts.
Right.
Whether it's I don't care how much money you pay them on a year-to-year basis, whatever their salary is, these dudes are they do the same thing we do, except they wear suits and have professional production crews.
And they have shorts. That's about it, really.
Yeah.
So
they are not qualified to be analysts.
And some of them, even if they did play the game, they're just not good at talking basketball. I saw a clip of Austin Rivers. He said something blasphemous about Jokic, and he said it was just this comparing him to this other player, and he's saying, yeah, I think this other player who's not even close to Jokic's level is better than him. And I was just like, bro.
I think I've seen that.
Yeah, he was like, what is he? Oh, Karl-Anthony Towns. He was like, yeah, Karl-Anthony Towns is more talented than Jokic. Like, what does Jokic do better than Karl-Anthony Towns besides passing? I'm like,
about everything on offense.
I'm like,
actually,
what?
Except
like
maybe shooting.
He's like, yeah, Carlton Towns is a better shooter. I'm like, okay, but Jokic is the better passer,
He's a better
the more
passer, rebounder.
fundamentally sound, better rebounder. Okay, like, what are we talking here? So, like, just stuff like that where, like, even if you played the game, you see instances like this where it just, bro, like, you played the game, like, that's just blasphemous. Like, how are you saying that? So, yeah, man, the game, I'm just speaking on the scheduling.
Yeah. The scheduling does need.
I already spoke on the other stuff that needs to be fixed. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be fixed, but I feel like the scheduling is a big thing that they need to address, because if you're trying to market these teams, you're trying to market these players, they need to be on primetime television more. They need to be on national television more, and they're just not. Like, OKC should be playing on Christmas, and they weren't. It just makes no sense. Like, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander might win the MVP, and he wasn't playing on Christmas. And we see this all the time. Like, I remember the Clippers years ago not having them on Christmas. It's just like, I understand, like, they get hurt sometimes, but the Clippers still have Kawhi and Paul George at the end of the day, and they weren't on Christmas on, like, numbers of years. All right, that'll do it on how to save the NBA. I want to move on. I want to talk about just NBA on Christmas. I was thoroughly impressed with the product on the floor. I still think three-point shot is a big issue, because I saw so many attempts from the three-point line, like over 40 attempts from a number of teams. The Lakers and Warriors, they attempted a lot of threes. I still think it's a big issue, but for one day, the NBA was clicking on all cylinders. It was the perfect storm for them, and the viewership, they raised the viewership. It actually increased compared to last year's viewership, so that was definitely good for them. Compared to the NFL still won, like, convincingly. They averaged over like 24 million views on Christmas Day. But the NBA was still able to increase their viewership compared to last year. So that's a win for them. The NBA is never going to be more popular than the NFL. So the thing with the NBA they need to worry about is just making sure that they can increase their viewership and not compare themselves to the NFL. Just worry about being the best version of you. And that Christmas Day, they dominated. They completely outclassed the NFL in terms of product on their court.
Yeah, pretty much. Them NFL games was blowouts, and I honestly thought that Chiefs and Steelers game was going to be much closer, but unfortunately not. But the NBA games, very good. All of them was pretty good watches.
And it's not like the NFL didn't have bad commentary. It's just the product on the floor. When you have teams playing like 3 games in like 11 days, what do you expect? And that's the thing with the NFL. They're getting very greedy, but they understand, like, their fans are like, they're hungry. They're hungry for NFL. They're hungry to watch the game. So it doesn't matter if these teams are playing 3 games in 11 days. As long as there's a game on, we're going to watch it. And that's why the NFL is king, and that's why the NFL is where it's at, is because they've done a great job of marketing the game, of getting fans interested, while with the NBA, on the other hand, they're still working on trying to attract more people to watch their games, more casual fans as well to watch their games. But this was a great day for the NBA. You got to salute them for that. Every game was close. Every game was competitive, from the Knicks game to the Timberwolves versus Mavericks game to the Lakers versus Warriors game, which was, in my opinion, the best game out of all of them. And then you had the Suns and Nuggets game. Like, it was so many good games. Celtics, Sixers, that was very surprising as well. I thought the Sixers had no chance, but Tyrese Maxey came into his own. He dominated that game. It was just so many bright spots from the NBA that day. It's just unfortunate that we're not going to see anything close to that for the rest of the season until probably the playoffs maybe. And that's where my problem lies with the NBA is, although it was a great day, I know that was an anomaly. I know that that's not going to be replicated until the playoffs. I wish we could have more instances where we could have a day like that, where we can feel like the love of the NBA, just the joy of watching the games again, will be there, because it was very competitive. All the games were close, and guys were making amazing shots. Yeah. Victor Wembanyama playing the Knicks in Madison Square Garden. It's just a breath of fresh air, and I just wish we had more of that.
I agree. I agree. Like that Knicks game was a great game to like set the tone for the day because it was back and forth. You got Wembanyama going crazy, Mikal Bridges going crazy. Yeah, 40-something points. So yeah, that's what it's all about, man. That's what the fans want to see.
Yeah, and special days like this, we expect that. We should expect great basketball on special days like this. And I thought that the NFL was just going to dominate from just a product standpoint. And I turned off the Chiefs versus Steelers game. I was like, oh, the Chiefs, they just dominating this game. I went to the Knicks versus Spurs game, and I was thoroughly impressed. And for the most part, I was watching basketball the entire day. The Ravens versus Texans game was a wash. If I didn't have any
stake in that game because of fantasy purposes, I would have changed it, turned it off.
Like quite literally, I turned the game off after Beyonce. Like I went back and forth between that game and the Celtics versus Sixers game because it was just a blowout. Like the Ravens just dominated that game against the Texans. Texans only scored 2 points, ladies and gentlemen. 2 points
on a safety.
Oh my God! And that was off a running play. So it wasn't even like Lamar was at fault. It was just a running play, and they got 2 points off of it. Yeah, salute to the NBA. Salute to the NBA. But
you won this round.
I don't know if I agree with LeBron saying that Christmas is NBA's day when the viewership for the NFL still dominated at the end of the day.
Well, the product on the court, product on the screen was the NBA's day. So.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but in terms of,
but next year though, they gonna put some crazy matchups on Christmas.
NBA won the battle, but the NFL won the war when it really mattered.
They will win the war.
They won when it really mattered, which is the money.
Yeah.
So, all right. Lastly, I want to talk about the NBA. Current standings. The Warriors have just fallen off of a cliff. They are, I believe they are literally 500 right now. Mm-hmm. They have just plummeted ever since they started red hot in the season. I don't know. I feel like they're going to make a move.
They have to.
I think they're going to make a significant move. Is that trading for Jimmy Butler? Is that finally going after Lowry marketing? They're going to make some type of move. They already did with Dennis Schroeder, but he's not a needle mover. I knew he wasn't really going to move the needle too much. Where's your thoughts on the Warriors, and do you believe they will make a move very soon for a significant piece?
My thoughts on the Warriors is you was right. They was fraudulent. And as far as where they make a move, they should. But will they? I'm not too sure.
Really?
For a significant piece, I'm not too sure. Because for the Warriors' ownership and GM, they're just very stingy with their guys. Like, you ain't want to give up Brandon to possibly get Lowry marketing. Like, are you drunk? So, I don't know, man. The Warriors, their front office got to get it together, man. Steph can't do everything on his own. He's too old now. So, they got to figure something out because at this point, you may lose the locker room.
I think they will make a significant move. Who that player is, I don't know. But just seeing what's going on with Golden State, I believe the front office will understand that a lot of these young players are just not ready, or either they'll never be ready. And they're going to have to try to build. They can't necessarily build. They're going to have to trade for somebody in order to contend with who they have right now, which is Stephen Curry and Draymond Green. You already lost Klay Thompson to the Mavericks. Now all you have is Steph and Draymond. You need to add somebody. Right. And Jonathan Kuminga is cool, but I just don't see him as somebody that is eventually going to be their future. I think he's a nice piece, but I don't see that he's going to be that star player for them because he's on year 4 or 5 right now, and he's finally becoming a quality rotational piece for them. I just don't see him as a future star. I think they should trade him, try to bring in somebody good, somebody that can just raise the ceiling for them. Because if you still have Stephen Curry playing at this level, you got to try to win now. He's 35 years old. You only have so much time with him. And a lot of these young guys are just not good enough.
Pretty much.
So
they got to figure something out.
Yeah, pretty much. Luka Doncic got hurt.
Yeah, calf.
On Christmas Day.
Calf strain.
He's going to be reevaluated in 1 month. Now, they have been winning without him, but it is a concern, especially when you're trying to go back to the finals. When you have your best player, in my opinion, a top 3 player in the league right now, down with a significant injury like that. We already saw with Kevin Durant, calf injuries could potentially become an Achilles injury. Do you think that this injury has pretty much like taken Dallas out of the championship picture?
Absolutely not.
Really?
And I say this because the Mavericks are a well-constructed team, and their defense has been slipping as of lately. But I do believe Kyrie Irving is good enough to anchor this team, hold this team down for possibly 2 months. They have the pieces. They could also make a move. They could be like, listen, we need to trade for another guy, get him in here, have him try to fill in some of the roles that Luka used to do, as far as like the playmaking and everything, and scoring as well. But I think they're solid enough to stay afloat. I think they could stay in that around that 4, 5, 6 range. And then once Luka get back, they could really start making a run. Now the question is, how long will the ramp up for Luka take in order for him to get back to his usual form? Because Luka, great player, but a lot of people question his conditioning.
That's the thing, his conditioning, and when he comes back, will he be in? Well, he's obviously not going to be in like shape, like in terms of cardio,
right?
But in terms of like physical, like is he going to have a dad bod? Is he going to look like he drank too many beers? Because that's the concern for me. Every single season, it seems like he comes into the season, he looks okay, but then towards April, we get to the playoffs, he just looks bloated. He looks like he just gained like 20 pounds. When you're hurt, when you're down, you're going to be out for a month or so, maybe even 2 months. I don't know if he'll be in shape for the remainder of the season. I feel like this is going to be a major concern for the Mavericks moving forward. I know you're saying it's not going to hurt them. I feel like it might. I feel like it will because
anything is a possibility. I'm just saying, like, the Mavs are well coached.
They are.
Gets them guys ready to play night in and night out for the most part. So, as long as I think they can avoid playing range.
Okay. We will see. The West is very competitive this year. A lot of teams are gunning for that top 6 spot right now. Let's move on to the Nuggets because the Nuggets have been they've been a roller coaster too. Like they just lost to the Phoenix Suns on Christmas. They have it's just been, I don't know, like a lot of chaos going around that team. I heard just negative things about Michael Porter Jr. not passing the ball. Russell Westbrook, he's been Nikola Jokic not playing defense. Jamal Murray, he's been, ever since that injury, just not the same player.
Good grief, the Cavs put up nearly 150 on them boys yesterday.
Do you think the Nuggets championship window as of right now is over?
Absolutely.
Really?
It was over after last year. Because, like, they lost players. The players that they figured was going to develop into dudes, they haven't really done it. And Jamal Murray, I'm sorry to say, but he's not who he used to be. We can't afford to wait around to the playoffs for you to actually do something. And even when he got to the playoffs last year, he wasn't doing much. That wasn't against the Lakers. But, the Jokic and company can only take you so far. You need a bona fide dude. And Jamal Murray just can't fill those shoes anymore.
And I think they don't have the depth from the big position that can sort of mitigate just Jokic defensive responsibilities, because I think they're putting a lot on Jokic's shoulders. And as a superstar, you're supposed to answer the call. But he's not known for playing great defense. And now he's getting exposed a lot more, where in past years, like the past 2-3 years, he's not had to like really do a whole lot defensively. Like he can just camp in the paint and not really have to worry about anything like that. And that's how they were able to win the championship a lot of times. Well, this year, he's going to have to sit in that chair. He's going to have to really defend the paint. And he just can't do it on a consistent basis. He's getting exposed a lot. The effort, it just isn't there. And a lot of the criticisms about Jokic's defense before they won the championship is starting to come back to light yet again. And this is why a lot of, there was some chatter about, oh, he doesn't deserve the MVP if you don't play defense. It's becoming a recurring thing yet again, and the Nuggets, as of this point on, they're going to need to make a move, or else they're just going to be...
Are they on Jimmy Butler watch?
Maybe. That could be a move that they could make. I believe he could fit their system. They're not a 3-point dominant team. They're a very balanced team. They'll play mid-range game. They'll play the 3-point shot, but they're not like the Celtics that rely heavily on the 3-point shot, or the Cleveland Cavaliers. They actually utilize the mid-range shot. So I believe he could be a important piece for them. He would definitely raise their ceiling for sure. Yeah. I hope they don't trade for him, because that will be bad news for my team and every other team in the Western Conference. But yeah, Jimmy Butler would definitely be a great move. I've been hearing so many trade rumors about the Nuggets. Oh, they're going to make this move. They're going to make this move. But it just never happens. Like, so many trade rumors, it just does not happen. I guess teams are waiting until the trade deadline, when majority of the bad teams, or teams that are like, in the Eastern Conference that are like 10th or 11th seed, you know what, let's just blow it up. Waiting until teams are like desperate. And, I don't know. I just think right now we're in a wait-and-see mode when it comes to the Nuggets and all these other teams in the Western Conference. Yeah, literally, move or rust. And I want to get to my Lakers, and then we'll move on. My Lakers are 17-13. They are, I said it again, they're surviving. They are the 5th team in the Western Conference. Who would have thought? 5th team in the Western Conference as of right now. Take that to the bank, Darvin Ham.
There's 6 team, actually.
6.
The Clippers are ahead of y'all somehow.
Well, I'm looking at ESPN. It's saying we're the 5th seed right now. What are you looking at?
I'm looking at Google.
You looking at Google?
It says Clippers 18-13, y'all 17-13.
That's weird. I don't know why ESPN has this as the 5th seed. But regardless, I mean, we have the same record. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, the Lakers, they're surviving. I will say we swept the Kings, something Darvin Ham could never do.
Kings are terrible right now.
Exactly. So, yeah, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But I like what I'm seeing from the Lakers. Certain things, there's still a lot of things we need to clean up. What I'm noticing about LeBron and Anthony Davis is they're really trying to get the young players involved into this team. So what they'll do is that they're not going to put their foot on the gas until maybe the 3rd or 4th quarter, because they want to get the young players involved. They want to get their confidence up. So like a Max Christie, an Austin Reeves, a Dalton Connect, a Roy Hashimura, you notice they will get a lot of shot attempts in the first half. Max Christie, although we lost to the Detroit Pistons, Max Christie got involved a lot. He was scoring a lot. I want to say he got involved a lot versus the Warriors as well. Let me check the box score for that game. He made some pretty impressive shots that game. He was 16 points. So you notice, like, a lot of these young players, the Austin Reeves, he had a triple-double against the Warriors. Max Christie had 16 points. Roy Hashimura had 18 points. a lot of these young players, Dalton Connect, 13 points. They're trying to make a point of emphasis to get these young guys involved because LeBron and Anthony Davis understands that they're going to need them, or they're just trying to trade. They're trying to raise their trade value.
Right.
So it's going to be a lot of growing wounds, growing pains because these are young guys. It's going to take some time. So it's going to be a roller coaster. You're going to lose to a Pistons team that you should have beaten. You're going to lose to an Orlando Magic team without Paolo that you should have beaten. But when the playoffs rolls around, these young players are going to be confident enough. They're going to be battle-tested that you can rely on them when it matters most. Now, hopefully, Rob Pelinka makes a trade to significantly raise the ceiling for this team. So now you have the young players, and then you have the guys that you traded for that will help your team in the long run in the playoffs and for years to come. And then that's how you can compete in the Western Conference. But again, we're in a wait-and-see mode until the trade deadline. So
pretty much
nothing really I can say anything else about this team until Rob Pelinka either makes a trade or the trade deadline is over. Last thing on the Kings. They fired their head coach, Mike Brown, literally minutes after a practice that they had. And he was being interviewed like minutes before he got fired. He was being interviewed talking about what the team needs to improve at defensively and stuff of that nature. Just what is your thoughts on the Kings firing Mike Brown?
This seems like a
inevitable firing.
The way the team, the owners, the GM, they try to go in and acquire time. They got DeMar DeRozan, and they got worse. Someone's got to take the fall, and I just think Mike Brown just had to be the fall guy. He had that one good year. They lost in the playoffs against the Warriors, but ever since then they haven't really been able to replicate that same success. And now it's just like, well, it's kind of cooked for them. They 13-18. I mean, never say never. Anything could happen, but like it's kind of over for them with the way they're playing. It's just like DeMar, he's just not. The DeMar Fox thing just isn't working out very well because
he's not a shooter. He doesn't space the floor.
Yeah.
Old school
and the
type
Kings
player.
aren't really like a 3-point heavy team. They got a few shooters. Like they got Kevin Huerter. He's still on there?
Yeah, he's still on
got
there.
Kevin Huerter, Malik Monk. He can shoot the tray ball, but other than that, they don't really have a whole bunch of shooters. So, and De'Aaron Fox himself isn't like a 3-point specialist or anything like that. So, I don't know, man. It's just really interesting roster construction. When I saw that DeMar was on the Kings, I was like, this doesn't really
move the needle.
Yeah, it's just like, oh.
It's just a name.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Someone had to take the fall for it, and I guess Mike Brown was it. Coach of the Year curse strikes again.
Yeah, so my thing with the Kings is that you're not going to win games if you don't play defense. And this team has not been good defensively for the past 3-4 years. And it's just no improvement. Ever since Mike Brown has been the coach, they've been great offensively. They've been scoring with the best of them, shooting with the best of them. But defensively, they just seem to not either care or just don't have the ability to defend on a consistent basis. With the DeRozan signing, I was confused because not only does he not fit the offensive scheme, but he's not a lockdown defender. Like, you need a 3-and-D guy that can lock down dudes and can make open 3-point shots, and that's not what he does in this stage of his career. That's why when you look at the ownership and their expectations of the team, they're delusional. Because if you believe that DeRozan was the piece that you needed in order to raise your ceiling, then you just don't know basketball. You're just absolutely delusional in your mindset in the way that you believe that your team is from a talent perspective. Like, yeah, Sabonis is phenomenal. De'Aaron Fox is phenomenal, but it takes a team in order to win. And I believe these past 5 years that we've watched the NBA basketball, it has been a lot more team-centric than it is, we're just going to grab 2 really good players and they'll take us to the playoffs. Now you have to construct a team. It's not going to be, we have 2 really nice players, we have 2 all-star caliber players, and we're going to win. Like, that's not going to be the case anymore.
Right.
You have to put the right pieces around them, or else you're going to lose games. You're not going to make the playoffs. And De'Aaron Fox is a fantastic player, and I feel like he has been, honestly, the most underrated player in the NBA for the past 5 years. Like, he's only made 1 all-star team, I believe, 1 or 2 all-star teams, and a lot of that is because just the conference is just so good at guard play. And the Kings have been losing so many years. And then you have Sabonis, who is like a Jokic type of archetype where he can pass, he can score, he can do pretty much everything, rebound. Not the best center in the world, but very fundamentally sound. You just need guys that can defend around them. And they just have not done that. They've provided them with shooters, Kevin Huerter, Keegan Murray, Malik Monk, but no defensive stoppers. And that's why they continuously lose. And that's not on Mike Brown. You just have a personnel issue.
Yeah.
Now, I've heard that, he's done some things that is very questionable. But at the end of the day, you need the dudes in order to win. And they just don't have the right dudes. They have talented pieces, but they're not the right dudes if you want to win consistently in the league. And that's why the Kings continue to be in purgatory. That's why the Kings continue to be in the same spot they have been in the past 20 years, ever since Chris Webber, Peja, all them dudes either retired or left the team. They have been the laughingstock of the league. And they're going to continue to be the laughingstock of the league. And De'Aaron Fox, I'm hearing trade rumors about him. Oh, man, I would love for him to be on the Lakers. But I already know that the ownership does not like the Lakers' divisional opponent. They're petty.
Plus they think they got robbed out of the finals.
Which was like over 20 years ago. So they're not going to trade him to the Lakers. But De'Aaron Fox, he deserves a fresh new start. He deserves another team, a good team, that he can finally show his talents, because he's being that team is locking him up. Like, free De'Aaron Fox. Literally free De'Aaron Fox. And that's all I'm gonna say on that, and I'm gonna leave a period on that one. And we'll move on to I think that'll do it for the NBA on that part.
Just let me be me.